Hello, today we're going to read Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. This part. Okay. Udon fell back on their favorite hobby of hitting him. Then in the zoo restaurant, and when Dudley had a tantrum because his knickerbocker glory wasn't big enough, Uncle Vernon bought him another one, and Harry was allowed to finish the first. He felt afterwards that he should know it was all too good to last. After lunch, they went to the reptile house. It was cool and dark in there, with lit windows all along the walls. Behind the glass, all sorts of lizards and snakes were crawling and slithering over bits of wood and stone. Dudley and Pierce wanted to see huge poisonous cobras and thick, man-crushing pythons. Dudley quickly found the largest snake in the place. It could wrap its body twice around Uncle Vernon's car and crush it into a dustbin. But at the moment, it didn't look in the mood. In fact, it was fast asleep. Dudley stood with his nose pressed against the glass, staring in the glistening brown coils. "Make a move!" he whined at his father. Uncle Vernon tapped on the glass, but the snake didn't budge. "Do it again!" Dudley ordered. Uncle Vernon rapped the glass smartly with his knuckles. But the snake just snoozed on. "This is boring!" Dudley moaned. He snipped away. Harry moved in front of the tank and looked intently at the snake. He wouldn't have been surprised if it had died of boredom itself. No company except stupid people drumming their fingers on the glass, trying to disturb it all day long. It was worse than having a cupboard as a bedroom, where the only visitor was Aunt Petunia and hammering on the door to wake you up. At least he got to visit the rest of the house. The snake suddenly opened its beady eyes. Slowly, very slowly, it raised its head until its eyes were on a level with Harry's. It winked! Harry stared. Then he looked quickly around to see if anyone was watching. They weren't. He looked back at the snake and winked too. The snake jerked its head towards Uncle Vernon and Dudley, then raised his eyes to the ceiling. It gave Harry a look that said quite plainly, "I get that all the time." "I know," Harry murmured through the glass, though he wasn't sure the snake could hear him. It must be really annoying. The snake nodded vigorously. "Where did it come from anyway?" Harry asked. The snake jabbed its tail at the little sign next to the glass. Harry peered at it. "Boa Constructor, Brazil." "Wasn't nice there?" The boa constructor jabbed its tail at the sign again, and Harry read on. This specimen was born in the zoo. "Oh, I see. So you've never been to Brazil?" As the snake shook its head, a deafening shout behind Harry made both of them jump. "Dudley! Mr. Dudley! Come and look at the snake! You won't believe what it's doing!" Dudley came waddling towards them as fast as he could. "Out of the way, you!" he said, punching Harry in the ribs. Caught by surprise, Harry fell hard on the concrete floor. What came next happened so fast no one saw how it happened. 1 second, Pierce and Dudley were leaning right up close to the glass. The next, they had a leap bang with howls of horror. Harry sat up and gasped. The glass front of the boa constructor's tank had vanished. The giant snake was uncoiling itself rapidly, still slithering out onto the floor. People throughout the reptile house screamed and started running for the exits. As the snake slid swiftly past him, Harry could hear a low, hissing voice said, "Brazil, here I come. Thanks, Sam Miguel." The keeper of the reptile house was in shock. "But the glass," he kept saying. "Where did the glass go?" The zoo director himself made Aunt Petunia a cup of strong, sweet tea, where he apologized over and over again. Pierce and Dudley could only give her, As far as Harry had seen, the snake hadn't done anything except snap playfully at their heels as it passed. But by the time they were all back in Uncle Vernon's car, Dudley was telling them how it had nearly bitten off his leg, where Pierce was swelling it had tried to squeeze him to death. But worst of all, for Harry at least, was Pierce coming down enough to say, "Harry was talking to it, wasn't you, Harry?" Uncle Vernon waited until Pierce had safely out of the house before starting on Harry. He was so angry he could hardly speak. He managed to say, "Go, cupboard, stay, no mirrors." Before he collapsed into a chair and Aunt Petunia had to run and get him a large brandy. Harry lay in the dark cupboard much later, wishing he had a watch. He didn't know what time it was, and he couldn't be sure the Dursleys were asleep yet. Until he couldn't reach sneaking to the kitchen and some food. He lied with the Dursleys almost 10 miserable years, as long as he could remember, ever since he'd been a baby and his parents had died in the car crash. He couldn't remember being in the car when his parents had died. Sometimes when he strained his memory during long hours in his cupboard, he came up with a strange vision. A blinding flash of green light and a burning pain on his forehead. This, he supposed, was the crash. Though he couldn't imagine where all the green lights came from, he couldn't remember his parents either. His aunt and uncle never spoke about them. And of course, he was forbidden to ask questions. There were no photographs of them in the house. When he had been younger, Harry had dreamed of some unknown relation coming to take him away, but it had never happened. The Dursleys were his only family, yet sometimes he thought, or maybe hoped, that strangers in the streets seems to know him. Very strange strangers they were too. A tiny man in a very top hat had bowed to him once we were out shopping with Aunt Petunia and Dudley. After asking Harry furiously if we know the man, Aunt Petunia had rushed them out of the shop without buying anything. A weird-looking old man dressed all in green and waved merely at him once on a bus. A broad man in a very long purple cloak had actually spoken his name in the streets the other day, and then walked away without a word. The weirdest thing about all these people were the way they seemed to vanish the second Harry tried to get across the room. At school, Harry and no one. Everybody knew the Dudley's gang hated that odd Harry Potter in his baggy old clothes and broken glasses. And nobody likes to disagree with Dudley's gang. This is the end of chapter 2. Next time we're going to read chapter 3. Bye bye! 안녕.